Kiss my frog.
Kiss my frog.
Kiss my frog. Do it. Oh, shit. That's...
Oh, Ryan. I've been waiting for you my whole life.
Have you? Well, by all means, start doing...
yeah.
Whoa. You didn't ask for my consent.
Ryan,
Yes.
may I please slip my little froggy tongue around your cock?
No, but thank you for taking care of yourself. This is how you do consent people at a play party. It's genius.
Oh, thank you for taking care of yourself, Ryan.
And thank you for taking care of yourself, Kerbin.
How about a hug?
Okay, I will.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Dude. Problem solved. Welcome, guys, to a new episode of Home of the Little King, and I just wanted to talk about, we want to talk about play parties tonight. And, we wanted to talk about this in a whole series about what makes for a good play party, what does not, what are red flags, and overall break down, our experience with play parties, and really get that out there.
Amour, t'es là. Amour, je cherche ton chemin. Amour, c'est toi. Amour, pourquoi tu te caches de moi?
Baby, I'm gonna let you take the reins because you're much better explaining things than I am for sure. And, in your definition, what is a play party to you?
There are a lot of kind of play parties out there in the world. A lot of different people facilitate them. The kind of play parties that I like to go to or host are events that are conscious, that everyone has a voice, that everyone's welcome, that there's some agreed upon policies for the event so that we're all on the same page. Things like boundaries and consent and verbal communication, those kind of things. And also, I love in our events we often have a welcoming circle, and then we have a closing circle. So there's an opportunity to share experiences, wishes, desires, those kind of things.
Yeah, all those ideas behind what makes for a better, enjoyable experience for somebody who's totally new to this, it makes all the difference. The ceremonies, because some people don't even do ceremonies; they just have the briefing. And I'm like, a briefing, that's it. It's almost like going to a doctor's office. If you're just having a briefing, let's make this a enjoyable, comfortable, warming experience. It's like a warm-up for a lot of those rituals.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize too that different people have different needs and different interests. So I want to make sure that we're being clear about the fact that I'm not judging or shaming the way other people choose to do things. If you're more into the swinger lifestyle and you just want to go in and get at it and that's your thing, that's cool. That's for you. That's awesome. That's just not what I happen to enjoy, and so I'm talking about what I enjoy. And because of my work at the Art of Tantra and my work with my clients in trauma, it's really important to me personally that events are held with a space and a container where people feel safe, and that's my number one thing. That's my number one interest. And also, a lot of my interest in the part of play parties is assisting people in coming together and connecting and finding intimacy. And recognizing that that's not always sexual. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But just being together in a room of people where you can be yourself and you can ask for what you want and you can be fully accepted is beautiful in and of itself, whether or not there's a sexual connection. So I think that's one of the misnomers that I hear a lot. I don't know if you've heard that. That, I've heard people call them, sex parties, swinger events. No judgment, but that's actually not the priority for me. The priority for me is the connection with other people, and I mean heartfelt connection, being open, being vulnerable with others, and taking risks, taking the risk and being, I know we've both had experiences, how has it been for you to be welcomed into the community?
Well, when I was actually discovering play parties, Tara already went to several of them, and when I discovered them, it was through her. And, a lot of people even wonder, how do you even find these places? That's where I was. I didn't even know how to find them, And I had to, kind of take my time to browse on, different things like FetLife. That was one of them. There was mixers and stuff. And eventually you find your way. But, the way I came across it, you invited me to come to one with you as a date. you know. And this is actually an interesting place to date people, you know, through this, because with going into these spaces, at least my first time going, it was a way of talking to people sober as much as possible. You know, some people, you know, take a little toke before they even go there, but they're not completely fucking wasted. And, you know, I know for myself and for a lot of people, that's a great place and a great space to meet people. So, you meet people sober, and, you know, some people are a little bit sexually charged, but, you know, for the most part, they're using more of their mind and less of this, like, out of body kind of disconnected kind of interaction that you see so much in clubs and bars, which is, you know, fun, but, you know, you're not really connecting people. You're literally just in an environment that's, you know, just riled up. And, you know, I'm not trying to judge on people that want to go to clubs and whatnot. I mean, that's really fun, and, you know, I want to go back to that eventually to have that experience. But if I'm really trying to connect with people, I can't be in an environment where I'm, like, drunk and there's a whole bunch of loud noise. And the play parties are probably a place for me to do that. And, you know, thankfully you showed me that, and I felt welcome. I felt like my body was being respected, as well as I'm respecting the bodies of other people. And, you know, it just made for a better sexual and also a connective experience for myself.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that people really bring, and I know you bring, is your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing wrong with opening your heart to people when you're making a connection. And I think in our culture, too, a lot of times we get taught to armor our hearts or close our hearts off.
You see a lot at the club, for
right?
sure.
Right? And
yeah.
And so I think by having those set of agreed upon guidelines, it really hopefully creates an environment where we can open our hearts to one another and be available to actually be seen and to see others and hold that space.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, in a nutshell, how I would summarize a play party.
Yeah.
What else would you add?
I mean, the only thing I would add to the play party is, you know, they're easily accessible. Typically, it's better to go to a play party with somebody who you know there instead of maybe going by yourself, because it can be a little bit weird to navigate it. But it's better to go with somebody who has a little bit of experience. That's how I did it. And it's kind of accelerated my comfort with going to those spaces, because you're going by yourself. Not saying you shouldn't. Maybe that's how you want to go. But sometimes it's better to know people who already know about that space and, you know, kind of can tell you what are the things to expect.
Yeah, because you definitely want to be safe. You want to look out for your safety. And when I say that, I mean emotional and as well as physical, you know. So you don't want to be going in blind to something that you don't know about. You want to be safe. You know, I went to my first play party after attending workshops with the same instructor for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So I did go alone to my first party, and it was actually quite terrifying. But I knew that I was in a safe space, and I specifically remember saying to the person holding the party that you know, what if I freak out? You know, can I leave? You know, can I come talk to you? And of course I could. So you might want to even have a conversation with whoever the host is before you ever go, and talk about your boundaries, talk about your needs, talk about what the space looks like, talk about what the policies are as far as consent and, you know, those kind of things, to make sure it's the right space for you. Talk about, you know, is this going to be a sober event or not? You know, these types of things.
Or is it even going to be naked people and throwing their bodies around, or is it going to be more like a, you know, just a cuddle party?
Yeah, just make sure you know what it is. Make sure you know what you're getting into and that you feel safe and comfortable. And I think going in the buddy system is probably a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, for at least the first time.
Yeah.
But, you know.
So that's what a play party is. Yeah.
But if anything else, let's, I want to ask some more questions in another episode. In fact, we're going to go wrap this up. If you guys have any more comments or questions or want to, put them down below. We actually read them. So if anything else, we're going to go wrap this up. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Go into the next episode and we'll go and talk more about what are some of the great things about play parties. What are probably our top 5 things for me personally and for you. And yeah, we'll go ahead and break it down. So thanks guys. See you guys next time.